Hey folks, hi, Anthony Nitz here. Hey, trust your real estate. Trust your real estate. What am I talking about? I'm not talking about trusting your real estate. Hi, house. Hey, I trust you. I trust you to hold my stuff. No, what I'm talking about is something a little bit different, guys. If you know me, I've been helping people buy and sell real estate for over 20 years. I meet with a lot of people in different situations, and there's one situation that always causes me a little bit of pain and a little bit of anxiety when I come across these. Let me share with you two different stories, just from these past 2 weeks alone. So, 2 weeks ago, I went and I visited with a family. They were there to take care of mom. Mom, she's not doing well. She's been through a lot in the last 6 months, and she's got pretty banged up. And the doctors aren't even sure if she's okay to move in with the family yet. And, while she's recovering, there's still lots of unknowns. Okay. There's a lot of things that they still got to figure out to make sure that it's okay for her to move and all this stuff. And the person taking care of her caretaker, right, is one of her children. One of her children flew in from out of state to come and take care of mom. So you got to appreciate that, and you gotta love the fact that she's willing to do that. And she has a durable power of attorney so that her child can take care of all the paperwork, the financial and medical decisions that need to go along with it. Coincidentally, the other appointment that I was on, kind of very similar. Dad, for this family, has what they're believing is a mild onset of dementia. And that's on top of a whole bunch of other health issues that he has. He just can't take care of himself, right? He's still mostly aware. He can have a fully cognitive conversation and whatnot. But they say, in their words, every once in a while, they see signs that he is slipping. Okay. And again, with all the other physical illnesses, ailments, things that he has, he just can't take care of himself. And again, this family member has a durable power of attorney. And because I've been doing this so long, guys, I've been doing it for so long. One of the things, just instinctively, I ask, do you have a living trust? And in both cases, much to my horror, they said no. I was horrified. Okay. And while I absolutely hope, that this isn't the case for either of these folks, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because I've been around these situations so many times. The fact of the matter is that people, they die. People die. There's no way around it. It's not, you have no control. It could happen any split second ever, whenever. Okay. So it's just a fact of life. And, while mom looks like she is definitely on the road to recovery, because she's got good care going on, and dad is in good hands with the family and everything, there's a nasty 7-letter word that comes to my mind when I see these situations and people don't have a living trust. And that 7-letter word is PROBATE, probate. I've been doing probates for a long time. I've done many, many, many probate sales and family sales too. But this is not a place you want to be. And for whatever it's worth, there's my coffee mug, the probate agent. That's what they call me. So whatever. In my experience, powers of attorney, they will not help you avoid the probate process. Now, I have to say, I'm not an attorney. I'm not trying to give you legal advice, just trying to share with you my experience. So hopefully you make a good decision at some point in time in the future. Power of attorneys, they will not help you avoid the probate process. So we have to understand what a durable power of attorney is. So when I go over here and look at this, and I pull up this description, it says, in case you ever become mentally incapacitated, you'll need what are known as durable powers of attorney for medical care and finances. A durable power of attorney simply means that the document stays in effect if you become incapacitated and are unable to handle matters on your own. And that's good. And that's what both of these family members have. They have a durable power of attorney. But you have to ask yourself, when do those durable power of attorneys end? And it says here, your durable power of attorney automatically ends at your death. Automatically, instantaneously ends at the moment you take your last breath, okay? And that means you cannot give your agent, and not real estate agent, but your agent being the one who has that durable power of attorney, cannot give that agent authority to handle things after your death, such as paying your debts, such as making funeral or burial arrangements, okay? Or transferring your property to the people who inherit it, like their heirs, their heirs, so that they can sell it, right? You can't do that. The durable power of attorney ends right then, okay? And, one of the other things that people confuse is, they say big deal. So what? Okay, fine. It's probate, big deal. The courts will sort it all out, right? And of course they will, but at what expense? What expense are they sorting out all of that in time and money? And both of them are very costly. People confuse that. Sometimes they say, hey, probate is just for real estate, right? It's just for the house, right? And the answer is no. It is to determine what happens to every aspect of the estate, including what to do with the deceased loved one. I mean, you can't even bury your loved one or have them cremated or whatever, put them in a rocket ship, send them in outer space, whatever it is that they want, without going through a probate process if they don't have a living trust. To define probate is the proving of a will, the proving of a will. So that assumes that everyone has a will, right? Do you have a will? Do me a favor, just for kicks, go ahead and put in the comment section the percentage of homeowners that you believe have a living trust and the percentage of homeowners that have a will. Okay? I'd like to see what your thoughts are on that, because I think you're going to find in the end that very, very few people have them in place, and it's very, very sad. So, but let's just assume you have a will. It's done. You've done a good job outlining it. You've done a good job of specifying who gets what and how the other affairs of the estate are handled. It solves the problem, right? No, it doesn't. It does not avoid probate. Why? First, you got to understand the difference between a will and a trust. And again, I'm not an attorney. My attorney friends who are watching this, feel free, jump in on the comments, put comments or whatever that you think are appropriate. But let's understand the difference between a will and a trust. A will is literally just a piece of paper that says, yeah, these, these are my interests, or these are my wishes if I die. Okay, these are my wishes if I die. And what is probate? Probate is the proving of the will. So the court is basically saying, prove it. Prove that this document is in fact your real wishes. Maybe you got another will somewhere. Maybe you wrote out a will on a napkin. Who knows? Maybe somebody's going to dispute the will. Okay? Prove it. And that's why you have to go through a probate process, proving of the will. God forbid you don't even have a will. That would become that's a whole other level of nightmare. Okay? But a living trust, on the other hand, essentially is a living, breathing entity that owns everything. That owns everything. And what I mean by that, for example, here, I'm going to show you, this is my trust right here. This is my trust. I want you to see how thick this is. Do you see how thick this thing is? This thing is probably, more than 100 pages. More than 100 pages. It goes through everything. Okay? Every single aspect of the what ifs and what could happen. Okay, it is a living, breathing entity that owns everything. So our house is in the trust. Our bank accounts are in the trust. Our insurance policies are in the trust. The cars are in the trust. Okay, all these things are in the trust. So that if at the time comes when I pass away, they don't have to worry about what I want. It's already all outlined. It's all outlined in detail right here in this trust, okay? And the trust being the living, breathing entity. But if you have a will, it can take you months for the court to go through it. Okay, well, I've got a simple piece of paper. Can't they just read it and see it's okay and there's nobody contesting it? Fine. Yeah, it's not even necessarily that. Sometimes it's just getting on their calendar. These courts are busy, okay? But in the meantime, and I've seen this so many times. In the meantime, the property has been ransacked for grandma's coin collection and the cash that she hid in her sweater pockets. The bank account is magically depleted to zero. Most of the good jewelry comes up missing, all while waiting for the probate court to make a decision. Also, in the meantime, mortgage payments still have to be made, or the property could get foreclosed on. The property taxes have to be paid. The property insurance has to be paid. God forbid you're in a probate process, somebody doesn't pay for the property insurance, somebody comes and falls and slips. Well, guess what? They own the house now if you don't have insurance in place, okay? The utilities have to be maintained, especially if you're planning on turning around and selling it. You got to have the utilities on. They're way too costly to re-establish them once they've been turned off. Better just to keep them on and pay those. But who pays those? So the question that I have for you is, do you have the extra cash to do that if you were assigned as an administrator or an executor of someone's estate? Do you have a little bundle of cash sitting aside? You go, I got this. I'm saving up to pay somebody else's mortgage payment and their homeowners association dues and their fees and their utilities and all stuff. I have this bundle sitting over here to pay those things when, if somebody calls on me to be in that position. And I'm going to guess the answer to that question is no. I don't know many people who do, okay, who set that aside just for that. So here the question would be is, why would you expect somebody else to have that money set aside so when you pass away, now they have to come up with all that money to be able to survive or to be able to go through the whole probate process and transition, the way that you want to according to your wishes, right? But don't get me wrong. There's plenty of people who will step up and who will help out. They'll make your mortgage payment. They'll pay your taxes. They'll pay your insurance, utilities, HOA fee. They'll pay all that stuff, but it comes with a very hefty fee. Okay. Do you know someone who's going through this? Do you know someone who has gone through this? Do me a favor, tell me your stories in the comment section, because I'm always interested in hearing about these things. Interested in hearing about these. I hear all the stories. I've heard so many different stories, some good ones and a lot of really, really nightmarish ones. Okay. Let's talk about just the probate attorney. When you have a probate, you got to have a probate attorney. You don't have to, but it's probably recommended if you want to make sure everything's done correctly. But you have a probate attorney. How much does a probate attorney get paid in California? I'll tell you, it's 4% for the first 100,000. It's 3% for the next 100,000. It's 2% for the next $800,000, and it's 1% of the next $8 million, right? So I'm going to assume pretty much everybody who's watching this has less than $900,000, or I would say $9 million in their estate. Okay, so we're probably safe there. If you're above that, it's a whole different thing. So, but let's do that math on there. If your family member that passed away has a home that's worth $750,000, okay. That's kind of a low average around me, but so let's go with that just for simple numbers. The probate fees alone would be approximately $18,000 just for the attorney. Okay. $18,000. Oh, but wait a minute. That's only accounting for the home itself. It is not accounting for the entire estate, because those fees that I just told you, the 4%, the 3%, the 2%, the 1%, those are tied to the value of the entire estate. The entire estate, meaning every single thing that that person owned. So what if mom and dad had a retirement account that was $150,000? Maybe they had they bought a car. It's $25,000 to $50,000. That they paid that off. What's all the good jewelry worth? What's all the jewelry worth? Even the junk jewelry, what's that worth? What about the timeshare and the gun collection? You see, it all gets factored in when calculating the fees. And again, this is on top of having to pay the mortgage and utilities, taxes, HOA fees, yard maintenance, security of the property if someone's not there, right? And what happens if the home is worth less than what is owed? Well, it doesn't matter. The fees are not tied to the equity of the estate, but instead they're tied to the total value of the entire estate, and all of it belongs. And all of its belongings, regardless of whether there's equity or not. What if dad left money behind for the kids? Said, guys, when I pass away, there's money in the bank account. Let me leave that behind. That's for you guys. Right? Well, guess what? That money is gone to pay for the fees and outstanding debts against the estate. It just is what it is, right? So, like I said, if you're one of my attorney friends, feel free to drop some additional knowledge in the comment section below, okay? And I've had several cases where the parents left a free and clear home for the kids, and the kids, whole purpose was for them to take over the home when mom and dad passed away, and but because of the expenses associated with the probate process, they were very, very sad that they couldn't keep the family home because there was no living trust. The costs were just too prohibitive for them in their situation. They just couldn't come up with the costs. So they had to sell the house. It was heartbreaking. They really wanted to keep the family home. So don't not have a living trust, okay? I was prompted, guys, to tell you this story because coincidentally, I had 2 different appointments with 2 different people in a similar situation. They're elderly. They're dealing with issues. So it's kind of hard not to think about the worst potential outcomes, and only because I've seen it so many times. But I'm not making this video for them. I hope that they take my advice. I told both of them, I said, guys, get a living trust, please, before it's too late. Because if you don't, and somebody dies, everything comes to a screeching halt. Doesn't matter if you're on day 29 of the escrow and you're supposed to close escrow tomorrow, it will stop because now it's in probate. Okay. I'm making this video for those of you guys who are watching who might be thinking, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50, I feel great. Nothing's going to happen to me. I'll be all right. I'll get around to it later, right? I did that for a long time. It took me a long time to get this trust put together. But let me implore you, please, to get yourself a living trust, because the living trust does a whole lot more than decide who gets what. Okay, it also covers things like medical decisions. If I, for some reason, am in a coma or whatever, and the decision has to be made, should we pull the plug? Boy, what a burden that is on somebody. What a burden that is on somebody. Guess what? It's outlined in my trust. It's outlined right in here. Okay? So my wife is not stuck with deciding, is that what he wants? Does he want me to pull the plug or not? Organ donation. How about that? Right? Who do you want to take care of the kids? Oh, this is an important one. I didn't even think about this until we were doing our trust. We were doing our trust, and our attorney brought it up. He said, okay, well, what about the kids? If both of you guys are out on date night or something, and, You get, a bus falls out of the sky and kills both of you. Who gets to take care of the kids? You go, oh my gosh, you're right. Because naturally you would think, okay, well, it would just be, the next closest family member or something like that would step in and do it. Well, sometimes some of them don't want to do it, number one. And sometimes number two, the other worst case scenario is that some people will step in, maybe it's an aunt, an uncle, distant somebody or another, well, we'll take care of the kids. We'll take care of the kids. And we love the kids. They go through the process. Even the court says, okay, you look like the best option so far. And you come to find out, the reality is, the kids need new shoes, yet suddenly they're driving around in a new car. Why? Now, because they have access to your bank accounts. They're living in your house. They have all the luxuries that come with whatever it is that you intended to leave for your children. But because you didn't have a trust, somebody else comes in that you don't want to be the person taking care of them. In our trust, we've got lined out 3 people. 1, 2, 3. This person. If they don't want to do it, this person. If they don't want to do it, then this person. If they don't want to do it, well, then our kids are hosed. But we think they're all very loving, caring people. And so we don't doubt for a second that they'll do it. Right? But these people, they just want to get to everything else. And that's why they'll volunteer to do it. You guys have heard the stories before. I'm sure you have. Guys, I've also seen families violently explode over someone's passing away. Violently explode. Not because they're upset that the person passed away, but because they all want to get their hands, their fingers into that pie. And they end up, as a result, just having this epic battle, and they get a little trinket or a little chunk of cash or something like that. But then they don't ever speak to each other again for maybe years, maybe even for the rest of their lives. Over what? But that's what people are after. They all think that they're due something, but if you have it all outlined like I do in this trust, then they will you can avoid all of that. Okay. I recently had a friend go through this, and while she was the only family member to take care of her mom for the last 15 years, the only one, nobody else came and took care of mom. Okay. When mom passed away, people that had not seen her for a decade or more, they suddenly started descending on the estate like cockroaches, literally barging in the house and tearing through things, looking for valuables. And the police had to get involved. It was nuts. It was nuts. She's still posting about it now. Yesterday I saw a post, and I'm just going, oh my gosh. Had mom had a living trust, none of this would have been an issue. Have you ever seen a situation like this? You ever known somebody who's gone through probate, or the family's gotten crazy over everything? If you think this is good information so far, do me a favor. If you're on Facebook, just give me a bunch of hearts. And if you're on YouTube or somewhere else, thumbs ups or likes or whatever it is, because it helps other people see this message. Okay. Just help share it, give it to other people. They need to hear this, because if you don't get the living trust in place, it becomes a nightmare for your family. Don't let your estate end up in probate because you think you have time. It says right in the book of Matthew, no one knows the day or the hour. Okay. We've been shocked. You've probably been shocked. I've been shocked sometimes when I'm cruising through Facebook or whatever, and I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, someone died. That person died. Suddenly. I spoke to him 2 days ago. Oh my gosh. And it's a shocker, a wave just hits you. You're like, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? Right? Did they plan on dying that day? No, that's not how it works. So don't take the risk. Okay. Now the good news is that we're selling their homes using the Amazing Open House program at amazingopenhouse.com. Okay. To get the home sold for full price in just one day. So they don't have to sit on the market for weeks. I'll tell you right now, our average days on market is 79, right? Almost 3 months. So if we have to, and that's once I'm sorry, that's to get an offer. So when you go 79 days, you get an offer, and then you still got another 30 or 45 days to go through the escrow process. So with our process, we sell it in one day, we get it sold, and then, things move on. I'll put the link in the comments somewhere, or if one of you guys could type it in the comments for me, amazingopenhouse.com, that would be really cool. Also, this makes the proceeds of the home available much sooner to the family member, to mom or dad, or the family member, whoever is handling it, so that they can give mom and dad that level of care that they deserve. So they can give them the quality of life that they deserve, to be able to afford the treatments, afford the medications, right? Because most people these days can't. They have a hard time doing that. Okay, guys, I've done hundreds and hundreds of sales where they're either family-related sales, where they had to sell mom and dad's house, or they were already in the probate process. So if you know anyone who's dealing with a similar situation and they can't risk sitting on the market for weeks or months, okay, or forever sometimes, right? Please do me a favor, share this video with them and ask them to reach out to me. They can send me a message on Facebook, or they can message me somehow. I think you can message through YouTube. They can visit amazingopenhouse.com, connect with me there, okay? But folks, trust your real estate. Trust it. Put it in a trust, okay? Trust your real estate. And one last final piece of advice, guys, I just want to share with you. In my experience, there's 3 different levels of living trust. There's out-of-the-box living trust, like LegalZoom and other legal sites. You basically fill in some details, hope you do it right, and it spits out a trust that you hope is complete. This is the cheapest of the options, and in extreme cases, this will do in a pinch, but it's definitely not my first choice. And I know my attorney friends are going, oh my God, I can't believe you even said that. But in my opinion, better to have one today than to go, well, let's wait a couple weeks till the attorney's available, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Better to have one today and fix it later than to not have it, okay, as we've discussed. The other one, the second option is what my attorney affectionately calls the Burgundy Binder Brigade. These are usually attorneys or maybe a paralegal who is basically using a template like LegalZoom, right? They're just basically using the same thing, and they try to fit everyone into it. You would expect that these guys would have better understanding of, what should go into a trust, what should be appropriate for your family specifically, because it's different for everybody. But because they're relying on doing volume at a lower price, right? It's kind of a burn and churn. I hate to say it, put it that way, but that's kind of what it is. You got to do more. We got to do 10 a day. I don't have time to sit around and hear all your stories, whatever it is, 10, 5, I don't know. Because of that, unfortunately, they may not pay attention to all the details. And I can speak to this from experience. This is the path that my mother-in-law took. And oh boy, where there are so many things that we had to fix. And that was a pretty significant expense to us. So if it was done just right to begin with, we could have avoided a whole lot of issues and money. And if that was the intention, was to avoid the burden, we avoided the burden of having to go through probate, but there was other expenses involved that we couldn't avoid because of the way the Burgundy Binder Brigade wrote the trust. Okay, they did not take into consideration all these other details. Finally, my recommendation is to find a great estate attorney. Find somebody who really knows what they're doing, that will take the time necessary to discuss and work through your unique situation and lay out a solid trust that your family can rely on for a long, long time. It's the more expensive route, but if your intention is to not burden your loved one, when you pass away, then it's very much worth the expense. If you like a referral to my attorney, you're hearing, I think he operates in a few different states. Just send me a message. I'll pass along his info. Happy to do it. I know he'd be happy to talk to you. And hey, if you're looking to buy a home, if you do use us to purchase that home with our rebate program, we'll basically pay you to get a trust to go along with your new home. You can find out about that at SoCal Home Rebate. Again, if somebody could just be kind enough, type that in the comments for me, I'd appreciate it. SoCalHomeRebate.com. Then, we're paying you for your trust. We're giving you a huge rebate back that will more than cover the cost of your trust and help you buy some new furniture too, probably. So, and remember, don't forget that, as I understand it, the trust is only valid once notarized. So even if you do like a legal Zoom thing or something like that, you got to go have it notarized, or have a notary come to your family member to have them notarize it, make sure that they're capable of signing this document, okay? And it should be reviewed and updated periodically, or whenever you experience major life change. You have kids, you get more properties, something else happens. Have it updated and reviewed. So anyways, thanks for listening. And I really appreciate it. Please, guys, go get yourself a living trust, regardless of what stage of life you're in. Take care. Have a great one.